Welcome to Doozer Shop. We're machining a piston from a 1928 Franklin on the Tsugami lathe. Alright, I got some edge preparation here. The top piston ring groove was it was wallowed out. It was loose and the ring was floating around up and down. So I got it here in the Tsugami lathe, and I figured it was easier to weld back in like an L-shaped profile than a U-shaped profile with the TIG electrode and all. So I got it in the Tsugami lathe. Basically, I cut off the top land so I can, fill in all this with TIG weld, build it back up, and then I got a parting tool blade here. I can recut the groove. So I got it pretty clean. Cleanliness is key to TIG welding. Yes and no. If you have something that's kind of dirty and you TIG weld it, the impurities will come to the surface of the puddle, and it really is not that big a deal. Why they say to clean really well with TIG welding is because the pure aluminum, the virgin aluminum, you can see it when it begins to melt. Aluminum obviously does not turn red like steel does or brass does. So you can see it melt when it's really clean. But when it's dirty, aluminum forms an oxide layer, and what's going to happen is the aluminum will become molten under the oxide layer, and you can't see it when you're TIG welding and you got the welding hood on, and you don't know when it's hot enough. It's like you don't get the visual feedback if you don't clean it, because that oxide layer looks like a solid surface on the aluminum. So yeah, the rule of thumb is to really clean the aluminum well, but it's kind of like a rule of thumb. The real deal is if you don't clean it super clean, it'll weld okay. The impurities will come to the surface of the puddle, much like metal casting, pouring a casting. But it's not that big a deal if you know if you got experienced welding aluminum. You just know when it's the right temperature, especially if you're using the TIG. You can torch weld aluminum with oxyacetylene, and there it's you want it clean so you can discern when the surface is hot enough to apply the filler. That's what it's about. It's being able to visually determine when the aluminum is melted so you can add the filler. But this is pretty clean because I got it V'd out for my prep. What I'm going to do now is I got a brand new stainless steel wire brush, and I'm going to just go over the areas that didn't clean up. I'm going to slow it down. I love this infinitely variable speed on the Sagami turret lathe. Brand new brush. Yeah, the surface is kind of uneven. But we got it cleaned up. And this is all in preparation for TIG welding this. Why not do the best job you can? This is a Saturday. I'm off of work. I'm in my shop enjoying what I do. And this could quite possibly be an original piston from 1928. So I love working on old stuff. It's a pleasure that you're helping something that lasted this long live on a little bit longer. All right. We are good with that. Yeah, that's going to weld really nicely. Yeah, it's going to be good. A little piece I've broken off the top land. Maybe you can see it here, maybe you can't. And I cleaned the carbon off there on the dome. And it's been peppered with something in the combustion chamber, it looks like. Just knocking around there. But other than that, it's not in too bad a shape. So I'm going to try and save this piston and re-weld it up and cut a new groove. Let me take you handheld and let me show you my setup here. I know you guys love handheld. Alright, turned off the lathe. Alright. So this is what I got. I got the piston. It's pretty neat. It's got some slots in it for expansion. This is an air-cooled engine, and I know pistons that are modern are campground for expansion. This has slots in it because it's so old. Not to say that it's bad. I hate when people say that old things are inferior, because they're really not. Some smart people back then. So you're probably wondering, what's the deal with that crossbar in there? I'll show you what I did. I got a drawbar in the lathe. I'll take it out. Let me show you. This is to hold the piston in the chuck, okay? Alright. So I'm going to loosen this up. Guys, gals, loosen this up. Alright, so what I just did there, okay, pull that out. Now, that was threaded into this crossbar. Alright, I threaded that crossbar, so that was holding the piston up against my 4-jaw chuck. We didn't want to, grab exclusively with the 4-jaw because we're going to hurt this piston. There's not a lot of meat there, and it's slotted on top of it, So we want to put this piece of aluminum in the piston pinhole and suck it back. So we're just kind of centering it with the 4-jaw, but we're holding it like it's almost like a faceplate situation by drawing it back through the headstock of the Sagami lathe and pulling it with the it's just a piece of all thread. It's like a makeshift drawbar, but that's a good tip for you guys. It's almost like two work holding setups. I got the
the forejaw, and then I got the drawbar. But you could do this on a faceplate. You don't even need the forejaw. You could just tap the piston in concentric, and I think you guys have seen before. What I do is I'll just bring down my indicator, and I will spin it and just indicate it in, and it's like it's a V base that fits on a round bar. As you guys might have known, this is a copy of a Harding chucker, and this bar is for threading, but I use it, you know, for indicator bases. It's just so dang handy. And a four-jaw chuck, this piston I put in, and I indicated it. First you indicate it on the back here with the four-jaw, and you get that within like a thou. And then you come forward, and then I was picking up the ring groove, and you tap that in. So you indicate it round there, and then you indicate it round here. And then I put the drawbar in, and I checked it. So when you're doing a part in a four-jaw, you not only have to do, you know, if it's a short part, you just indicate the four-jaw. But if it's a part of any length at all, you have to indicate the end by tapping it all around, and tap it with a brass hammer or a piece of aluminum stock, just as a little bumping in. So that's that. Let me see here. Let me just well, loosen that. I'm gonna just go in with the camera here while I loosen it, and I'm gonna come down and loosen the other one here. You guys bear with me. Oh, you got to tighten it because it's clamping on the inside. Alright, now zoom out. Alright, so we're done here. So this is the prep for welding, okay? And this piston belongs to my buddy Jonathan W. I wish I get up with him more often. He's about an hour and 50 minutes away from me. I'm going to deliver this piston up to him on a Saturday morning. I'll come out to his place, get up early. So that's the edge prep. I left a little lip on top, but you can see that piston ring had been dancing around and left all kinds of facets and grooves and whatever, you know. So this is a very lightweight piston for 1928. It's kind of hollow. It's got strengthening ribs for the piston pin bore, where normally that's just kind of open. Very light piston. It's got two cuts there, and then on the side here. So 6 cuts for thermal expansion. And what I think happened to Jonathan's motor here is because it was air cooled, he mentioned these rings have very low tension in his opinion. So I think it got hot because the cooling fins were plugged, and kind of annealed the rings, you know. But other than the top ring land being screwed up, the piston's in good shape. And you know, Jonathan could buy a new piston. He said it crosses to a Continental motor piston or an Alice Chalmers tractor piston. But this is fun. We got a little collaboration going on. I'm going to TIG weld it up with my my thermal arc TIG welder, and you know, I'm going to you know, give it back to him, and he can run it. You know, it's all about trying to figure out how to make do with what you got. You know, people that don't have a lot of money but still want to have a lot of fun can do it. You know, I'm having fun. This is my day off, Saturday. This is, you know, Doozer Shop Channel. I really enjoy little projects for my friends and myself. So I'm going to post this video. The next one, I'm going to be set up to TIG weld this, and I'll bring you guys back and show you the progress. Until next time, this is Doozer's Shop.